Israel's war against Hamas decimated Gaza's economy. Global conflict if the West allows Ukraine to use long-range missiles. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Onto Othman and you're watching World Today. The United Nations on Thursday revealed that Israel's war against Hamas has decimated Gaza's economy, shrinking it to less than 1/6 of its 2022 level amid an alarming decline in the West Bank. Now, since the war erupted in the Gaza Strip more than 11 months ago, the United Nations said economic devastation had taken place at a staggering scale. The UN Trade and Development Agency, UNCTAD, said in a new report, production processes have been disrupted or disseminated in Palestine. Income sources have disappeared, poverty has intensified and expanded, neighborhoods have been eradicated, and communities and towns have been ruined.
The report we share with you today portrays a region in great economic distress, with collapsing GDP, widespread poverty, and soaring unemployment. This now affects all the occupied Palestinian territory, impacting people in Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, and it is putting a severe strain on basic services.
Mutassim Elegra, who coordinates UNCTAD's Palestinian Assistance Program, said it remained unclear how much it would cost to rebuild. Already by early 2024, UNCTAD said up to 96% of Gaza's agricultural assets, including farms, orchards, irrigation systems, machinery and storage facilities, had been decimated. Meanwhile, in West Bank, Israeli forces pulled out of the Palestinian refugee camp of Tulkarm on Thursday, leaving a mass of damaged buildings and infrastructure. Residents inspected the damage to their homes in streets strewn with rubble and debris from broken furniture and household items. Israeli forces have been conducting a series of operations in the northern West Bank for the past 2 weeks, with extended raids in Tubas, Jenin, and Tulkarm. The occupation forces claimed that all 3 cities have a heavy presence of armed factions, including Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Fatah. Streets and infrastructure of the 3 cities have suffered extensive damage after Israeli forces dug up roads and targeted military bases. Heavy clashes between Israeli forces and Palestinian fighters have also been reported. Violence has surged in the West Bank since the start of the war in Gaza, with almost daily sweeps by Israeli occupation forces that have made thousands of arrests and regular gun battles between security forces and Palestinian fighters. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Washington, D.C. for meetings with U.S. President Joe Biden. Both leaders will discuss issues affecting foreign affairs, particularly in resolving conflicts in Ukraine and Palestine. Starmer is expected to meet Biden in the White House today, following pleas from Ukraine to lift restrictions on using Western weaponry against Russian targets. The PM's visit to Washington comes just 2 months before Americans go to the polls in the presidential election. Keir's second trip to the U.S. as Prime Minister will also see him discuss the conflict in the West Asia and any potential progress that can be made towards the release of hostages and a ceasefire deal. The pair are also expected to discuss strengthening cooperation to secure supply chains, increasing climate resilience, and advancing a free and open Indo-Pacific. Donald Trump said Thursday he would not take part in another debate with Kamala Harris as the White House rivals headed back to battleground states that are set to decide a nail-bitingly close U.S. presidential election. The Republican former president lashed out 2 days after his first televised clash with the Democratic vice president when Harris put Trump on the defense and got under his skin with a series of barbs. On his Truth social platform, Trump wrote there will be no third debate, including in his tally the earlier debate with Joe Biden in June that drove the incumbent out of the race and his Tuesday showdown with Harris. Trump claimed that polls clearly show that he won the debate against Harris, despite several Snap surveys that showed Harris came out well on top in the clash, viewed by more than 67 million Americans. At a rally in key swing state North Carolina, Harris insisted they should debate again before the November 5th election. The Harris campaign said earlier that she was entering a more aggressive phase of her White House bid and was seeking to capitalize on her decisive debate victory and build on momentum. Trump and Harris remain neck and neck in the polls with just 54 days until the election, with the result expected to hinge on a few thousand voters in half a dozen swing states, including North Carolina and Arizona. Harris has erased Trump's lead since Biden ended his re-election bid on July 21st, but insists she is the underdog in perhaps the shortest and most dramatic campaign in U.S. political history. The election is also further stoking political tensions in an already deeply polarized nation. Russian President Vladimir Putin praised on the achievements of BRICS in fostering security cooperation among its members. He highlighted the creation of a special electronic registry for sharing data on cyber attacks and incidents as one of the key accomplishments of the group. Putin was speaking at a meeting of BRICS high representatives for security issues in St. Petersburg. BRICS is moving forward with the establishment of a council to combat terrorism financing and money laundering. In July, the 9th plenary session of the Working Group on Counter-Terrorism was held in Moscow. In the realm of anti-corruption efforts, he said the BRICS countries, at Russia's initiative, had approved common approaches for combating bribery and recovering assets and income obtained through illegal activities. BRICS, founded in 2009 with Brazil, Russia, India and China, expanded in 2011 with the addition of South Africa. Russia, which holds the group's rotating presidency this year, will hold the 16th BRICS summit in the city of Kazan from 22nd to 24th October. On another note, Putin said that the West would be directly fighting with Russia if it allowed Ukraine to strike Russian territory with Western-made long-range missiles, a move, he said, would trigger a global conflict. The warning came as senior Ukrainian government officials pressed U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and British Foreign Minister David Lammy on a joint visit to Kyiv to allow Ukraine to fire long-range U.S. ATACMS missiles and British Storm Shadow cruise missiles at targets deep inside Russia. He added the strikes on Russia with long-range weapons would need Western satellite, intelligence, and military assistance. Putin commented further the satellite targeting data and the actual programming of the missiles' flight paths would have to be done by NATO military personnel because Kyiv did not have the capabilities itself. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been pleading with Kyiv's allies for months to let Ukraine fire Western missiles, including long-range U.S. ATACMS and British Storm Shadows, deep into Russian territory to limit Moscow's ability to launch attacks. Washington has previously been reluctant to supply Ukraine with long-range weapons over fears that this could escalate the 2.5-year-old conflict, but there are signs its stance may be shifting. Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye on Thursday dissolved the opposition-led National Assembly, clearing the way for early legislative elections and for his government to roll out its policies for the remainder of its term. In an evening address, Faye, who came to power in April, said legislative elections would be held on 17th November. Thursday marked the 2-year anniversary for the parliament, the minimum time period that must elapse before a new legislature is elected. Thursday's move follows earlier promises by firebrand Prime Minister Osame Sonko to dissolve the National Assembly and launch a wide-ranging probe into government corruption. Faye cited in particular the management of public finances under his predecessor Macky Sall, alleging willfully hidden excesses of spending. He added that a report approved by Senegal's Court of Auditors would soon be published. Faye defeated the ruling coalition candidate in a landslide victory in March, promising to crack down on corruption and introduce economic reforms that prioritize the national interest. Microsoft announces 650 job cuts. That and more coming up next. West Bengal State Chief Mamata Banerjee publicly apologized on Thursday following the rape and murder of a trainee medic in Kolkata, which sparked widespread protests across the country. Now, the August 9th assault on the 31-year-old doctor has fueled nationwide outrage, with campaigners arguing that despite stricter laws, women in India continue to face high levels of sexual violence.
But I am sorry, I apologize to the people. I apologize to the people of this country and the world people who are supporting them. Please give your support, I don't have any problem. We want justice for Tilottama. We want justice for common people. We want justice for treatment for common people. We want that, as per Supreme Court instruction, they must join their duty.
Doctors have called for Banerjee's resignation, accusing her of mishandling the situation. On Monday, the Supreme Court ordered doctors to return to work, but protesters defied the deadline, vowing to continue their strike until their demands are met. Banerjee requested a meeting with the protesting doctors on Thursday, but they refused to attend after the government declined to live stream the talks while legal proceedings continued. While protests in other states have subsided after the Supreme Court created a hospital safety task force, doctors in West Bengal, where the attack occurred at RG Kar Medical College and Hospital, have continued their demonstrations. A secret court battle is set to begin on September 16th to determine the future of Rupert Murdoch's media empire, including Fox News and the Wall Street Journal. Now, Murdoch is trying to modify his family trust to grant his eldest son, Lachlan Murdoch, significant control over the media networks. The trust outlined in the text is a crucial mechanism through which Rupert Murdoch controls his media empire. Upon his death, the trust will distribute his voting shares to his 4 eldest children, potentially leading to a power struggle over the future of the companies. He has proposed an amendment to the trust that would give Lachlan significant control over the companies, blocking any interference from his 3 siblings. A group of news organizations have filed a motion to intervene in the case, arguing that the court should unseal the records and provide access to the proceedings. They believe that the public has a strong interest in understanding the potential implications of the secession drama, which could affect thousands of jobs and media consumers. Boeing's U.S. West Coast factory workers stood in long lines to vote on Thursday on a much-criticized new contract, some loudly calling for a strike, piling pressure on the plane maker as it wrestles with chronic production delays and mounting debt. Roughly 30,000 workers who produce Boeing's 737 MAX, 767 and 777 jets in the Seattle and Portland areas are voting on their first full contract in 16 years. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAM, said polling will close at 6 p.m. local time and the result will be announced on the same day. The proposed deal includes a general wage increase of 25%, a $3,000 signing bonus, and a pledge to build Boeing's next commercial jet in the Seattle area, provided the program is launched within the 4 years of the contract. Although the IAM leadership recommended its members accept the deal on Sunday, some workers have responded angrily, with many arguing for the originally demanded 40% pay rise and lamenting the loss of an annual bonus. A potential strike could start on Friday, which would be a big early blow to new CEO Kelly Ortberg, brought on last month to restore faith in the plane maker after a door panel blew off a near-new 737 MAX jet in mid-air in January. Microsoft has announced layoffs affecting 650 employees in its Xbox division. This is the third round of job cuts this year as the company seeks to reduce costs and integrate its recent acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft to cut 650 support jobs in Xbox unit as the gaming industry has seen a decrease in player spending after reaching a high point during the pandemic. Microsoft's recent layoffs primarily target corporate and support roles, with no plans to cancel any games, close studios, or discontinue devices. The technology giant had said in January it would let go of 1,900 employees at Activision, Blizzard, and Xbox. In May, Xbox shut down a number of gaming studios, including Arcane Austin. However, no games or devices are being cancelled, nor are any studios being closed as part of the adjustments made at Microsoft's gaming unit on Thursday. Layoffs have become common in the video game industry, with Sony PlayStation early this year announcing it was laying off 8% of its global workforce. In all, last year, the tech industry lost some 260,000 jobs, according to Layoffs FYI, a California-based website that tracks the sector. So far this year, layoffs are at 136,360, the site showed, from 435 tech companies. ASEAN foreign ministers expressed deep sorrow and heartfelt sympathies to the governments and peoples of the Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, China, and other countries impacted by the recent devastating typhoon. In a joint statement, ASEAN reaffirmed its solidarity with the affected nations and expressed confidence in their resilience to recover from the natural disaster. The regional bloc pledged to provide support and cooperation in relief efforts, including through the ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance on Disaster Management, AHA Center. In a related development, the Vietnamese embassy in Japan launched a fundraising campaign on 12 September to aid Vietnamese victims of the typhoon. Embassy staff members contributed at least one day's salary to the cause. The embassy also appealed for support from the Vietnamese community in Japan, as well as Japanese organizations and individuals. Material and financial contributions can be directed to designated addresses or through the embassy. South America is being ravaged by fire, from Brazil's Amazon rainforest through the world's largest wetlands to dry forest in Bolivia, breaking a previous record for the number of blazes seen in a year up to 11 September. Satellite data analyzed by Brazil's space research agency INPE has registered 346,112 fire hotspots so far this year in all 13 countries of South America, topping the earlier 2007 record of 345,322 hotspots in a data series that goes back to 1998. A Reuters photographer traveling in the heart of Brazil's Amazon this week witnessed massive fires burning in vegetation along roadways, blackening the landscape and leaving trees like burnt matchsticks. Brazil and Bolivia have dispatched thousands of firefighters to attempt to control the blaze, but remain mostly at the mercy of extreme weather fueling the fires. Scientists say that while most fires are set by humans, the recent hot and dry conditions being driven by climate change are helping the fires spread more quickly. According to INPE data, the greatest number of fires this month is in Brazil and Bolivia, followed by Peru, Argentina, and Paraguay. On another development of the story, the Bolivian government announced it would invest in cloud seeding to help increase rainfall in the wildfire-hit region of Santa Cruz. According to local media, airplanes from the Bolivian Air Force dispersed silver iodide into the air to encourage cloud formation and precipitation to ease the wildfires that have ravaged over 3 hectares of land so far. The South American country is on track for potentially a record year of fires, exacerbated by drought and land clearance linked to booming production of cattle and grains, especially around the wealthy farm city of Santa Cruz. South America is being ravaged by fire from Brazil's Amazon rainforest through the world's largest wetlands to dry forests in Bolivia, breaking a previous record for the number of blazes seen in a year. In sports, JDT continues dominance in Super League after thrashing Penang FC 5-0. Stay tuned.
Perlawanan bola sepak Liga Super 2024 terus memburu ruang bagi mendominasi perlawanan. Aksi-aksi dan asakan terus diledakkan, menggegar setiap pertempuran. Sabtu 14 September, Kuala Lumpur City FC bertemu Kedah Darul Aman FC 8.30 malam di saluran OK. Saksikan juga secara penstriman langsung di RTM Klik. Kejuaraan Hoki Trofi Juara-Juara Asia 2024 ledakan pukulan bertenaga oleh barisan pasukan hoki terbaik mencipta aksi getir di setiap pertembungan dalam memburu tahta juara di benua Asia. Sabtu 14 September, Malaysia bertemu Korea 1.15 tengah hari. India bertemu Pakistan 3.30 petang. Dan Jepun bertemu China 5.45 petang di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstriman langsung di RTM Klik.
Johor Darul Ta'zim JDT continued their dominance with a 5-0 thrashing of Penang FC in the Super League at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium last night. The Southern Tigers have now collected 25 points from 9 matches in the 13-team standings, thanks to 7 wins and 1 draw, while Penang are 7th with 10 points. The Southern Tigers started the goal fest against the Panthers early with Oscar Pesaro Arribas scoring from inside the box just 3 minutes into the match. New JDT striker Jorge Leonardo Obregon Royas doubled the lead in the 41st minute after receiving a pass from Arif Aiman Muhammad Hanapi, giving the home side a commanding position. JDT had a chance to extend their lead before halftime when referee Razlan Jofri Ali awarded a penalty after a VAR check, but Arif Aiman's penalty shot went over the bar. In the second half, Obregon scored his second goal, taking advantage of a loose ball that Penang FC goalkeeper Sheikh Izhan Nazril Sheikh Azman failed to secure. JDT's fourth goal came in the 68th minute when Bergson Gustavo Silveira da Silva converted a penalty after another VAR check. The defending champions sealed the 5-0 victory in added time, with Arif Aiman scoring from the spot after VAR revealed a foul on Muhammad Shahmi Safari by defender Muhammad Adib Abdul Raup. The hearing into Manchester City's 115 alleged breaches of Premier League financial regulations will begin on Monday. City were referred to an independent commission over the alleged breaches, which go back to the 2009-10 campaign in February 2023. The club are alleged to have breached rules relating to the provision of accurate financial information. City are also charged with failing to comply with Premier League rules requiring clubs to follow UEFA's financial fair play regulations from the 2013-14 to 2017-18 seasons and failing to follow Premier League rules on profit and sustainability (PSR) from the 2015-16 to 2017-18 seasons. The club, who won an unprecedented fourth successive top flight title in May, said at the time of the referral to the commission that they were surprised by the league's issuing of these alleged breaches. Sources said the hearing is set to begin on 16th September and is expected to last about 2 months, with a final verdict, including any appeal, to be reached by the end of the season. City could face penalties such as a points deduction or regulation if found guilty. Everton and Nottingham Forest had points deducted last season for breaching PSR regulations. Manager Erik ten Hag said Manchester United are in a transition period as well as dealing with injuries, but this cannot be used as an excuse. Ten Hag's side, who are still without the injured Rasmus Højlund and Luke Shaw, have lost their 2 most recent Premier League games, including a 3-0 defeat at home to Liverpool, but the manager is ignoring the criticism.
Doesn't impact me. I know in the process where we are and what we have to do. Where we are going, I have said before, we are still in a transition period. We have to integrate a lot of young players also in the team. We are still dealing with injuries. We have to bring the injuries back in the team. And before anyone thinks about excuses, no, we have to win every game. I know that, the team knows this, and doesn't matter who are available. And yeah, we will focus on every game and have in every game the mindset we have to win.
Despite the poor results, the manager says that the team is going in the right direction. The manager also said that neither forward Højlund or defender Shaw were available for the trip to Southampton. Both players have yet to make an appearance this season through injury, but are progressing well. United are 14th in the standings on 3 points, while Southampton are second from bottom and yet to win a point this season. City officials and LA 2028 organizers on Thursday drummed up support for the 2028 Games in Los Angeles with the first showing of the Olympic and Paralympic flags in City Hall. Now, Los Angeles will be hosting the Olympics for a 3rd time in summer 2028. The last time the city hosted the Olympics was in 1984. This will be the first time the city will host the Paralympics. The city also pledged that the 2028 edition would be a Games for all.
The 2028 Games are now at our doorstep. They will be a celebration of our vibrant city, a city of creativity, a city of diversity, of entertainment, of defining culture, with sports at its core, and ultimately with athletes at the heart of everything we do. There is no platform like the Games to drive transformative change in our host city.
The ceremony kicked off with a drum performance by the J-Town Taiko Club and included a demonstration of wheelchair fencing. Los Angeles native and Paralympic shot put silver medalist Ariel Middleton hoped that the Games would have a major impact on Angelenos with disabilities. LA 2028 Games organizers are confident the Hollywood factor and the American city's identity will help them raise the bar when they host the event in 4 years' time. And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, Israel's war against Hamas decimated Gaza's economy to 1/6 of the 2022 level. Now do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM and TV1 for more. Alternatively, you can also stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm Otto Othman, Malaysia Madani, Jiwa Merdeka. Goodbye and have a pleasant day ahead.